Formula One is a sport that deals in speed. It operates with just one objective in mind: to make the car go faster. Where the difference between success and failure can be measured in a fraction of a second, no price is too high when it comes to saving time.
Formula One is a hugely expensive sport. The cars consist of about 6,500 components, probably 50% of which after a single Grand Prix are scrapped.
Millions of dollars and countless hours will be spent on optimizing the performance of its cars and its people.
Formula One is a real team sport where there are 500 to 600 people, all who can influence the outcome.
To achieve success, all the components of a car and a team must work in perfect unison. A team is the sum of all their parts, whether in sport or business.
The challenge that many organisations face is that they have particular functional areas. People work in those areas and they don't connect well to other parts of the organisation.
On this episode of Formula for Success, we look at teamwork and the difference it can make to an organisation's performance, whether in the market or out on the track. Everything in Formula One happens at speed, from the track to the turnaround of cars between races. As soon as one Grand Prix finishes, preparation for the next starts.
With 2 weeks between races, we say we typically have 334 hours in which to, between the finish of one race and the start of the next race. And in that time period, we have to get the cars back here, take all of the pieces off them, inspect them for wear, inspect them for damage, service the gearbox, take many parts off and turn them around so they can be reassembled. And that will typically happen by the end of the first week.
At the Williams headquarters in Grove, England, the countdown to race day starts as soon as the last race has finished.
Morning everybody. Just debrief first of all, just going through what we did in Friday practice.
With over 100 people working directly on the car, it's essential everyone has a clear and defined role and they work together as a team.
I think everybody inside the team has a role to play. You can't run a racing team unless you have that ethos. Everyone has to contribute and everyone has to feel as they do. If they don't, then in reality there's no real position for them in a Formula One team.
It's all a far cry from the days when the team started out in a garage with just a handful of employees.
There was a little Williams team in 1969 which existed for 7 years. It never had enough money. We started with 5 people, and that included the driver's wife who did the timing.
Today, the team employs over 500 people, with the lion's share working on the research and development of the car. As the teams have grown, so has the need for integration between departments. This means that in the week between races, the mechanics will reassemble the cars, while the pit crew practice their stops and drivers fulfill commercial duties.
The racing car thing is really very, very small in this job. The time you actually spend doing what you're here to do and what you like doing is so small relative to everything else. It's much less than 20%.
Teamwork must exist between departments, not just within them. It all starts with the commercial division, who pull in the sponsors.
They're the lifeblood. They pay our salaries, they build our cars, and they allow us to do the only thing that we were ever set up to do, which is to go racing.
By the time the trucks leave for the next race, over 5,000 man-hours will have gone into making sure the team has had the best possible preparation for the race ahead. Once at the track, the race team kicks into action. They have 2 days of qualifying and practicing to optimize the performance of the car.
The final day is spent preparing the cars at that circuit, making sure that everything's running smoothly so they can go out for free practice and the drivers can get good, reliable laps in to dial in the cars. To be a serial winner in this industry, you need to have that very clear focus on the racing. Everybody needs to be properly aligned to make sure they are completely focused on going racing. They're thinking about very little else.
The driver is only as good as the team he has around him. While advanced communications technologies feed the pit team with engine, tyre and track information, nothing is as valuable as the driver's feedback.
Yeah, the relationship is very important with your engineer. I can communicate exactly what I feel, and that he can then take that and transform that into a mechanical change on the car, which then again is going to make the car feel better for me in the end. So there's a lot of communication, which is very important.
But only on race day can performance truly be measured. Success will require more than just the driver's skill. It will hinge on how the team has prepared both him and the car. The same team-working principles are true for any business.
Clearly, a Formula One car, like a business, is a fully integrated package. It's not just about a front wing, it's not just about an engine. When you bring together the engine department, the gearbox guys, the aero men, the tyre men, what you're actually doing is you're bringing the heart of the company together. The Formula One car is a constantly moving platform of technology and performance. What's a company if it's not a constantly moving platform of technology and performance? It's the same thing.
It's in this constantly changing and demanding environment that Formula One teams have evolved into highly efficient integrated units. All good teams, whether in business or sport, share collective goals and responsibility. This point is central in the recruitment of Royal Air Force personnel in the UK.
With over 60 different careers to choose from, you don't have to be a pilot to fly in the RAF.
The parallels are strikingly similar with Formula One. The aircrew are like the drivers. They may be on the front line, but they're only as good as their backup team.
Chieftain formation, right, aims for today then, training objective-wise, tile pod handling to that end. We're going off to do a self-designation, paintway free, SAP.
At RAF Marham in Norfolk, the air crews can be called into action anywhere in the world at only 24 hours notice. In preparation, they undergo daily sorties. Each sortie will consist of 1 to 4 planes, with each crew consisting of a pilot and a navigator, also known as a weapons system operator.
The teamwork is key, within the aircraft itself, between the two people, and then within the formation. So you use the fact that you've got 2 brains, 4 eyes and so on to build a much better package. There's a lot of coordination required across the formation, especially when the weather is poor, when you've got advanced weapons. So if you've got a 4 ship, you've got 8 guys all flying there together. If you don't work as a team, you can forget it. It's not going to happen. Very important indeed.
For today's sortie, the objective is to take out a military target using simulated laser-guided weaponry. With all sorties, the timing and coordination between the air crews will be critical. Unfortunately, the weather hampers the attack, but regardless of the outcome, the crews will always debrief using video footage recorded during the flight.
What you said before that, it's really that high ground again, where we've potentially, or we could have been bitten by the high ground.
That's the time really when you come back and you haven't got all the pressure of being in the air and you know what's actually going on at the time. You come back and look at everything in slow time. And the debriefing of the videos is particularly useful, particularly seeing other people's videos as well. You're a crew, so you know all the mistakes you make are made as a crew because you check each other and everything's sort of done between the both of you. So any mistakes, yeah, you generally say it was as a crew.
The air crews epitomise teamworking. They know that just one mistake could jeopardise the lives of their colleagues. There's no room for a blame culture here.
The formation as you didn't get to the...
If everyone was just pointing fingers all the time, you'd be very reticent to admit your mistakes. And actually the quickest way to learn is for everyone to admit their mistakes and for you all to learn from them together. Because at the end of the day, we're in an environment where mistakes are very, very costly when it comes to doing it for real. So now is the time during training to make those mistakes and fix those problems.
The same principles are evident in the successful Formula One teams.
The principle of the no-blame culture is not that there isn't individual accountability. There is individual accountability, and if someone isn't up to a job, then they won't remain in that job. What no-blame culture means is that everyone is open and ready to share what actually went wrong in a particular situation, so the real reason can be identified.
Good organisations share these ideals, allowing individuality to prosper, but not to the detriment of the common goal. To learn these skills, a number of organisations have turned to Formula One. After the break, we look at what business has picked up from the sport and how virtual life may be the answer to teamworking in the future.